project for a friend, and she was wanting a welcome porch leaner. And I was like, I've been wanting to do one of those, so let me do that. So let me tell you what I've done so far. So I had this board left over. I think this might be my last one. When we did renovations here at the cottage, me and Catherine's husband redid the floors on the other side, and we used these pine boards we got from Home Depot. They were probably 12 foot long. And so this was a partial piece. I think it's probably 7 foot. This was already this size. It's 70. It's almost 6 foot. It's almost 6 foot. It's perfect. So I had a friend come in and she's like, I'm wanting a porch leaner. Can you order it from somewhere? I'm like, I've been wanting to make one of those. Let me make it. It will turn out much better than a mass-produced item. So the first thing I did, this is from a Home Depot. It's a pine board. It's a 1 inch by 11.5 wide, and it's about 6 feet long. So the first coat that I put on here, I used antique black. I love to use antique black as my base. It covers in one coat, and I love it. And I love for the black to poke through as a distresser. When I distress it, that black pokes through. Okay, so once that dried, I came in here with, I normally use cotton white, but this time I was like, I'm going to use white ash. I want it to be a little more muted, so I used white ash. White ash is probably the #1 color from Farmhouse Paint, and it's a creamy white, and cotton white is like, I'll show you the difference. It's white. You can see the difference between, I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but white is very white. Y'all can't see that sign, but what I used on the farmhouse sign that I did was cotton white, and then white ash is cream, and that's your #1 color. So I used that, and I only did one coat, and I wanted to give y'all a couple little tricks that I used on this. Now, sometimes if you have a really big piece, and say you do one section, and then you come and you start doing the next section, you will have overlap marks. And so what I tried to do, and sometimes like if my wood is bare and it's really dry, I like to use, I need to get some of these for you guys because it's awesome. This is a mister. It's not a spray because the spray puts too much water. This is a mister, and it just goes on a lot finer. So sometimes with dry wood, I will spray my piece and then paint because it helps it to soak into the wood. Otherwise, it just sucks all your paint down in there. But if you put some moisture into the wood, then the paint won't go all the way into there. It will kind of sit more on top, but it is adhered to it. So what I try to do to keep having those, like here and then here, and having those overlap marks, it'll just be like a little bit darker. So what I did is I did this, and then I came and I sprayed. I did this section, and then I come back and spray just a little bit, and then I go all the way like this, so I have even strokes. So then when I went to the next section, I spray a little bit, I do this, and then I spray the whole thing, and then I do, and I kept doing that all the way down till I'm all the way to the end. I take my brush, I spray it. You want to keep that paint still wet. If it dries, this won't work. So if you keep it wet, I try to do even strokes all the way down like that so I don't have those overlap marks. Now, I didn't want it to be perfect. I kind of wanted a little bit streaky, and I'll pull this up so you guys can see it here in a minute. I don't want it to look like, a solid white board. I wanted it to have some age and distress to it. So I'm going to lean this up so you guys, I think you'll be able to see it. I've already put my letters on here. I'll just redo these. But so I put that on and let it dry, and then I came back with my sand block, and I didn't do it too hard because if you do it too hard, you'll go down to the bare wood. I just wanted that black to pop through. So let me lift this up. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can see some streaks coming through. And there is some knots in this wood, and I don't know if y'all can see on the edging, and especially my corners. Let me get that up there, especially the corners. I want a little bit more detail to come through. And you see my knots. And this end had like a little bad spot, but to me, that's character, so I played it up a little bit more, if y'all can see that. But to me, I like that look. I like it to look aged and distressed. Now, I know I want this to be my top, and this is going to be my bottom. Let me show you the bottom of this one. I probably already did, but I just like how that looks a little bit chippy. Can y'all see that? It looks cool. And then any of the knots and stuff, I just hit it a little bit harder. And then you got to make sure you clean it, either vacuum it off or, dust it down really good. I had to, because some of this has knots and little grooves in it, I had to blow it out or vacuum it out, or it'll sit down in there. And then if you paint on top of that, then you've lost that detail. But anyway, I love how this looks. It's nice and smooth. And I've had, these are really cheap. They're probably not the best stencils, but I bought these forever ago when I was in the little cottage. I used to make signs with these, and like Christmas signs and fall signs, and these are, I think, from Walmart, or they may have been from Hobby Lobby. I can't remember. I think it was Walmart. They're pretty cheap, but they work. It's just cardboard, and so it's going to say welcome, and I kind of figured out that I want the letters to start 2 inches from the top and end 2 inches from the bottom. And I kind of know how far apart I want the letters to be. So I'm just going to start out and space my W. I think instead of using black, I want to use a gray. All right, so 2 inches from the top. I want to make sure I am in the middle. So I'm going to use my handy dandy, just kind of eyeball it with this guy. I think center, I think is like 1 3/4. Yep. So that's pretty good right there. I'm going to find my tape. Slide this down so you got some more in front. I think I'm probably going to mix this gray with a little bit of black so that it'll be a little bit darker. So I've got ancient gray. No. I'm going to use gray Limoges, just a little bit darker. It may be fine. All right, here we go. See, the top's watery, but on the bottom it's really thick. So I'm going to keep stirring it and try to get that watery part at the top mixed into that bottom. So if it's too watery, you won't like that either. So you want to try to get it mixed up really good. So I think the gray's good. I like to shadow my letters a little bit. So I think I'm just going to do this gray, and then I might shadow with black, or I might shadow with white. I'm not sure yet, like cotton white. So I'm going to put this on there first and see if I like it before I mix any black, and see if I think that's going to be okay. And sometimes by shadowing, it's just like where you kind of do a few lines here and there, it'll hide any bleeding. And bleeding is where you get, where the paint goes underneath. I'm going to try to keep it from doing that, but sometimes it happens. So I'm just going to do that top part. I'm not going to do it really, really hard. All right, y'all. Wish me luck. Here we go.
After all that, guys, I ended up painting them black. I just didn't like the way the gray looked. It just didn't quite have enough oomph to it. So I am finishing this up here. This is my M. Just going to finish painting that black. I'll sand it a little bit and then I'll be done.